Hello everybody. For this video, we ordered a huge crate of crawfish. There are exactly 1,000 pieces here. The most important thing is that every crayfish is still live. This is the most important sign of their freshness. Here are mostly medium-sized crayfish, but there are also such giants. So first of all, we unload all the crayfish into the sink. Prepare the pots, and begin to wash the crayfish from the dirt with a toothbrush. The dirtiest piece is the stomach, so there are 3 more active. Already cleaned crayfish are dumped into the saucepan. Really, the task is simple, but when you need to wash 1,000 crayfish, it'll take a while. So, we will cook most of the crayfish, cook the middle one in a cauldron, and the rest on coals. Let's start with the cauldron. Pour in some oil. Peel some ginger with a teaspoon. And cut into slices. You also need a lot of garlic. Crush the cloves so that they give off more flavor. And chop some green onions. We'll dump this into the cold oil and kindle the fire. Our oil is saturated with aromas, and now you can fry the crayfish in it. We mix it all up. When all the crayfish are red, you can pour in some beer. Also a lot of Worcestershire sauce, chili sauce, teriyaki, and soy sauce. That's it. Cover with the lid for 10 minutes and let the crayfish stew. So everything is almost ready. All the liquid is turned into a glaze. So we mix it so that it sticks to the surface of the crayfish. And you can spread it out onto a dish. Now we turn to our cooking crayfish. Pour some water into a large saucepan. Take some Korean seafood seasoning. And pour out half a kilogram at once. Add quite a lot of paprika, a lot of salt, and mix. We will also pour out a whole bottle of lemon juice. Cut 10 fresh lemons in half. And throw them in too. Now let's cut some celery. It's perfectly for crayfish. Cut a couple of garlic heads. And into the mixture. We also need a lot of onions. Cut the bulbs in half. And also into the saucepan. Add the peeled potatoes. And put the pan on the burner. Cover with the lid to boil faster. Then cook it all for 20 minutes. And finally, you can pour in the crayfish. We cover the lid again, and after 10 minutes, our Louisiana-style crayfish are ready. It's important to keep them on for another 2 hours to lie in this fragrant liquid. And then you can drain it. Pour the crayfish onto the dish. Louisiana crayfish are served with boiled corn, so we cut them into pieces and pour it on top. Just like that. And the last batch of crayfish needs to be put into the sleep for the freezer so that they don't suffer. And we'll light the coals in advance. Done. Now pour them onto the grill. We dump a lot of oil into the saucepan. Put it on the stove. We throw in a bunch of fresh dill, a lot of salt, and a mixture of peppers with peas. With all this, we flavor the oil. Now it just needs to be filtered. We fill the syringe with salted oil with the aroma of dill and pepper. And then we syringe the crayfish in random places. We transfer the already filled ones to the gastric capacity. This should be done with each one without exception. Now we put them onto a skewer. Ready. Let's go outside. And lay them all off the skewers over the coals. The shell heats up and the meat inside is cooked immediately with the fragrant oil. We turn it over in literally 2 minutes. Add 2 more minutes from the second side. Crayfish and the coals are ready. We pull them off the skewers into the gastric capacity. Let's prepare another batch. We pour out the last crayfish up our dish. These are exactly 1,000 crayfish cooked in 3 different ways. In the evening, we invited a lot of friends and relatives, and we all enjoyed these crayfish together. Hello, everybody. Many people know what a Mentos is. Who doesn't know this is one of the most popular mint gums in the world? Mentos gained huge popularity due to the reaction with Coca-Cola. Yeah, okay, other bloggers had a much higher fountain. Write in the comments what I did wrong. We need to figure out what Mentos consists of. Upon careful examination, menthol inclusions are on the glaze layer. Now let's look inside. Here we have soft white gum. And it turns out that there's also mint syrup inside of it. Now everything is clear and you can start cooking a giant Mentos. Let's start with the forms. Pour some oil inside the hemispheres. And spread it out evenly with a brush. Unfold some parchment, and cut a piece of the length of the mold. Every 4 centimeters, you need to make an incision. Now we cover the form. Thanks to the oil, the parchment sticks. Cover it so that there is not one single gap on the molds. Now let's start with these little blue inclusions. For this, we will cook some caramel. Pour some sugar into a saucepan, and pour in a little bit of water. And in order to refresh our breath, we will need some crystals of pure menthol. They just have like this unrealistically powerful aroma. We set a small pinch into the saucepan, and we cook the caramel to 145 degrees. Now you can remove it. Let's repaint the menthol caramel in blue. We're going to use a square shape for filling, but first we will upgrade it with a sealing tape. With scissors, we cut it lengthwise. And put it on the mold. Done. Now the mold will be sealed. We apply it to the mold and pour in the blue caramel. And to speed up the solidification, we will use liquid nitrogen in a can. We will put on a tube so as not to freeze our fingers. And we spray nitrogen directly out of the hot caramel. The spray temperature is negative 195 degrees, so the caramel freezes almost instantly. And our first round is done. You can bend the shape a little bit to make them more random. And again, pour in some caramel. As a result, we make a lot of little inclusions. So let's turn to the white glaze. Pour some sugar in. Corn syrup. And water into a saucepan. That's it, and then we're going to put it on the stove. And we're going to cook this in 4 pots at once. We cook the caramel for 10 minutes until it reaches 137 degrees. Quickly remove from the stove and color it white. Pour this into the mold and try to make sure that the thickness of the glaze is the same on all sides. most of it still flows down, so we smear it around with a spatula. It took us 3 hours to fill the glaze. Now we'll turn to the gooey layer. Pour 3 liters of water into a large saucepan. We will also need 900 grams of gelatin. Gradually pour it in while stirring with a whisk. That way it swells evenly. When the mass has already become like a puree, it is ready. Next, you will need 5 kilograms of coconut oil. We open up a plastic canister. And dump the oil into the pan. Now you just gotta pour 1.6 kilograms of cornstarch in. And mix this mass with a huge mixer. This is only part of the filling, and we'll need it later. And now we need a 30 kilowatt Megaflow gas burner. We can connect a gas cylinder to it. We install a hefty saucepan on top and pour 10 liters of corn syrup into it. Now we pour 40 kilograms of sugar on top. And 8 liters of water. That's it, cover with the lid, and turn on the burner to maximum. After about 10 minutes, the caramel is boiled. It is very important for us to monitor the temperature here. This caramel was cooked for another 30 minutes. And when it reaches 135 degrees, it needs to be poured into the second pan with a mixture that we prepared in advance. And mix everything together with the mixer. It's time to solve the problem of rapid cooling this mass. We want to do it with dry ice. In fact, it is frozen carbon dioxide and its temperature is negative 78 degrees. That is, it is 4 times colder than ordinary ice from the freezer. Pour half the dry ice into a large saucepan. And then the pan with the hot mass on top. At the junction, hot ice evaporates very quickly and squeaks funny. The second half of the dry ice is filled between the walls so that the cooling is more effective. The pan has already managed to be covered with frost. We begin to mix the mass for its uniform cooling. Half an hour later, the mass noticeably lightened and even increased a little in volume. This is due to the fact that we have driven a lot of air bubbles into it. After another hour of mixing, the mass has almost cooled down and is already stretching like gum. But we need an even whiter color, so we'll add a powder dye and mix it in. Just like that. As a result, an almost white chewing mass is obtained. pour this into the molds. And we'll send them into the freezer. Exactly into the middle, you need to squeeze out the recesses with the help of bowls. And leave that to freeze for a whole day. Now it's time to make the mint syrup. The menthol crystals that we used earlier have a very strong cooling aroma, but it is the taste of mint that they do not have. Therefore, we will make the flavor ourselves. We shove a piece of gauze into the extractor as a filter, and fill it almost to the top with dried mint. On top, we throw another wad of gauze. Pour 2 bottles of alcohol into the flask. Then we throw in 2 little pieces as boiling water. We install the extractor on the stove and fix it on a tripod so that it doesn't fall. On top, we have another flask called a refrigerator, and we also fix that. From below to the refrigerator, we attach a tube. Put the second end on the adapter and pull that right onto the faucet. There is an exit from the top of the refrigerator. A tube is also needed to it. The second end is thrown into the sink, and we turn on cold water. The refrigerator is filled with water and flows out through the upper tube. This way the water circulates and it stays cold all the time. You can turn on the stove. The alcohol is boiled, but the how will it turn into a flavoring agent? So, upon reaching 70 degrees, the alcohol evaporates and the vapors rise up into the tube. As soon as it reaches the refrigerator, it condenses and flows into our mint in the form of drops. Thus, the extractor is constantly filled, and the alcohol, having gained a mint flavor, flows back into the lower flask. After 5 hours of extraction, I think we have squeezed the maximum out of the mint. We evaporate the liquid in the flask to make it more concentrated and get rid of the alcohol vapors. And we're left with an unrealistically powerful flavor. We're going to color it blue. And pour it through a sieve into a decanter. Now we'll pour in corn syrup. And just mix it up. That's it, the mint filling that will get the taste of our giant Mentos is ready. The chewing mass is already frozen, so we take out the bowls. And fill out the depressions with our mint syrup. We leave this to freeze overnight. Already in the morning, the syrup is hardened and you can get the molds out of the freezer. Immediately remove the sticking white glaze. And we take out the halves of the huge Mentos from the molds. Now we tear up the stuck parchment. We trim the edges a little bit more. Finally, you can connect them. Not bad, but the joint is ugly. So we'll make some more white glaze and go through it at the seam. Just as you see right now. That's it, the giant Mentos weighing in at 70 kilograms is finally ready. It took 4 days to prepare, and in my opinion, it is very similar to its little original. Now let's try our giant Mentos.